You can just hear the man on the synthesizer.
It's just That's a different song.
That's a mashup I listened to.
This is a longer intro than I remember.
Yeah, I don't remember this. I feel like when I loaded up Deus Ex, it's just like it starts with this part. Sorry.
It's good. It's fucking good.
Can you imagine being in a club and then just boom?
That just drops. Club goes wild.
It absolutely would.
Yeah, it absolutely would.
And they're like, this is from a 1990s video game!
Deus Ex! Woo! Happy holidays, everybody. We are here, Waypoint Radio, to celebrate the holidays, to celebrate time away from the office, and to talk about some of our favorite games of the year and the decade. Today, we are going to talk about the Immersive Sims of the 2010s, where the Immersive Sim is at today. And you've already heard her voice. We couldn't do it without Fanbyte's own Danielle Riendeau. Welcome back to Waypoint Radio. Also joining me here.
Thank you, guys. I've missed you so much.
I missed you
Especially,
too.
I'm very glad that you are, honored the clause in my contract, my life contract, that says when people talk about Immersive Sims, I have to be there. So
you have to at least have the option. I'm glad it lined up. Also here, Patrick Klepek, Rob Zachary, Ricardo Contreras.
Yo.
We are here to talk about Immersive Sims. There is, Rob, you kind of put this question to us like moments before we started.
Is that we're starting? Or are you just laying out?
I'm laying out.
Okay.
You know what? Let's lay out.
Yeah, you can do a setup.
I forgot about this. So the setup, as again contractually obliged, is that there is a time limit on many of these podcasts this week. For this one, there's a 30-minute. Once we start talking about
there will be a timer that goes off.
A timer will go off.
Cado will start playing a dishonored sound effect video. The closest we can get to the blink sound
effect to kick things off.
Shit, I gotta pull that back up.
You better get it ready. And then we'll talk about Immersive Sims for 30 minutes and what the state is. Can I say what an Immersive Sim is without...
No, because I think that's part of Rob's question.
You're right, it is. So we can't do that.
Brooklyn definition? Is that what this is?
We're going to figure out.
All right, so Cado, are you
ready to
if he's ready to start the timer, then...
Yeah.
All right, so we have 15 minutes to answer this question.
At the most. Otherwise, we're going to not get to the talking about what these are.
Yeah, I would say that the framing is maybe... I would give you 10 minutes.
Oh, you'll give me?
You ready?
Wow. I'm just trying to... You want to make sure you talk about the games you like.
Count us in.
3, 2, 1. Immerse.
Where's the sound effect?
Oh, right.
All right, blinked. I just blinked into an Immersive Sim. Rob was asking.
There it is.
In 2019, what do we mean when we say Immersive Sim? What do we talk about when we talk about Immersive Sims? Famous short story collection. What do we mean? You raised is Hitman 2016 an Immersive Sim?
Right, because it checks a lot of the boxes, right? Like it's systemic as hell. It's about watching sort of a clockwork world operate and learn its workings. And then how you can subvert them or bend them to your will. But at the same time, it doesn't feel like an immersive sim.
I don't read a single email.
I don't hack into a terminal.
I might hack into a terminal, but not hack into a terminal.
Yeah.
Not like typing.
Is the first thing you pick up a wrench?
It might be in Hitman. I don't know. Danielle, do you think Hitman is an immersive sim?
I actually think it is.
Okay.
And I would posit that any game with a sufficiently advanced physics engine / systems that interact with both player verbs and mechanics and level design is, in fact, an immersive sim. And I think Breath of the Wild fits these criteria.
Is Death Stranding an immersive sim? I also think Breath of the Wild fits those criteria. I don't know if
Death
it's
Stranding is an interesting question because I think Death Stranding definitely feels like it's part of the walking sim lineage.
Yes.
But the walking sim is intertwined with the immersive sim. Like, if we, like, there's a lot of games you can view as foundational to, like, walking simulators, right? But one of the major works, Gone Home, was made by Fulbright, a bunch of people with lots of immersive sim chops and experience. And so, like, to a degree, a lot of what the walking sim became, and a lot of what maybe the future of immersive sims looks like, is walking sims because the genre
my mind just expanded upon this point. I've never thought about it this way.
Galaxy
I will say the thing is there are a lot of quote unquote walking sims that don't do anything the immersive sims do in terms of systemic interaction. they're immersive in other ways in terms of environmental design.
Reading emails.
Right. Sometimes.
Environmental
Immersive
storytelling.
walks, you might say.
Immersive walks. Can I get the definition you just said one more time, Danielle, just so I get it all in my head?
This is the thing I wrote in my notebook 5 minutes ago.
Great.
If a game has a sufficiently advanced physics engine / the ability to really kind of marry mechanics and lots of options and lots of player verbs with the level design itself, then it becomes an immersive sim.
Austin was doing a lot of hand motions.
I'm doing lots of hand
during that.
motions.
The only part I worry
So
that
it's
the
physics engine / lots of verbs. So I think both of
Okay.
those things are both like
You don't
immersive.
need a physics engine. You could do it.
Right.
You could have a 2D sprite based immersive sim. Like
think
a Final
so. I
Fantasy
think you could.
immersive
I
sim.
guess so. I mean, isn't it really the physics? Hello.
Hi, dogs.
Sorry about that.
No.
Oh, you're all good.
Yeah.
I was immersed in your dog's.
Yeah.
He's upset. Yeah.
The physics allow for a lot of verbs by
Right.
reality, like by the consequences of the physics, right?
Right. The reason I'm asking this is because, like, is it an immersive sim if can you have a text-based immersive sim? Can I be playing an immersive sim on my phone or through a text parser? I
I feel like you could, but when we're talking about immersive,
I know.
sim, right? Yeah, no, I know what you're saying.
I'm trying to find edge cases to
Yeah,
figure out what.
Because at what point is that
Like,
just
for me, Death Stranding is the one that is like it fits everything that Danielle just said. We wouldn't traditionally call it an immersive sim, but it does also fit into that walking sim overlap, which, as Rob just posited,
Yes.
maybe that the future of the immersive sim.
At what point is that just an adventure game?
Right.
I mean, video game genres are bullshit, but
Yes.
at some point you're just like, oh, that's just an adventure
I'm
game.
not interested in what is an adventure game. I'm interested in why we want to make the distinction between Dishonored and Zelda traditionally. Right?
Right.
Yeah.
Whereas Breath of the Wild, like you said, Danielle, you feel like Breath of the Wild fits
I
in
think
this.
it crosses into the line there. I think it is sufficiently broad and deep by both sort of versions of my definition that it crosses into that line. I also think it's a platformer, but that's another discussion.
What? No, that Danielle has so many fucking Breath of the Wild thoughts. Like, these are,
Danielle was with me.
whatever. You go to Fanbyte and it's like, oh, I just got to play Breath of the
my
Wild.
second favorite game of 2017 after
because
Prey.
number one was Prey. So your favorite were two different immersive sims.
And 3 was Death of the Outsider. So
Okay,
There you
wow.
go.
Is a stealth option intrinsic to immersive sims?
Great question. See, I don't think it is, but I do think once a stealth option appears, it moves much closer into that Venn overlap of like, that's an immersive sim.
Right.
But is that a historical quality, or is that like, do you know what I mean, or is that intrinsic? Is it the fact? Do we think that because lots of immersive sims have offered stealth options, and so in our
And
heads,
they're all building off a similar template.
Right, exactly. But you could have the immersive sim. Okay, here's actually a genuine, real-ass question. Do you know people who play like Arma mods or who role play in GTA Online
yeah.
and who are like interacting with systems that have to do with like checking in for your job for the day?
There are people who are like traffic cops.
Yeah, exactly.
In GTA Online.
Is that an immersive sim?
That's roleplay.
No, but they are those. A lot of those things are now systemically represented also through mods in the games.
is it all in the game, or
That's
is
what-
it outside of the game? They schedule outside of the game.
Well, it's like the game responding to what players are doing. It's like it starts as a role play, then is it still role playing?
Yeah,
and the game
like if you look at
supports
some
it?
of you look at some of like the Arma mods, which Arma is already in a weird place as a like a combat sim that does a lot of the physics based interaction and blah 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 blah. But when you look at some of the real life Arma sim stuff, where like you have a checking account, you are like you have to go fill your car up with gas. Is DayZ an immersive sim?
No.
Why? It certainly is stealth.
I think there's as we were having this conversation, I was starting to think, is part of this a power fantasy? Like inherent to like even in the narrative ones, the most walking simulator ass ones, the power fantasy is you are the ghost who journeys through the space and learns all its secrets and everything about the people.
Yeah, there's a lot of voyeurism takes around Gone Home back when that game came out.
And then in a lot of your classic immersive sims, even though the world is simulated, there are people doing menial jobs in that world. There's people, who are traffic cops, guards, etc. You aren't like them. You know they're in a fucking video game. And part of the fantasy is you are the person who's going to, you enter this world, you are a stranger to it, it is unfamiliar to you, but you are going to impose mastery and understanding on it. And I think, even though I tend to be really skeptical of power fantasy shit, is power fantasy inherent part of what makes us say that there? That's an immersive sim.
It's a more charitable version, manipulation as opposed to power fantasy, right? Like, so I mean, I guess it's power fantasy in the in the sense of power fantasy, but is it power for power's sake, or more just like it's fun to like manipulate a system?
Yeah, I don't know. Danielle, what do you think?
I think that's fair. Yeah, I'm thinking about this now, and now I'm thinking Control might be an immersive sim. Actually, it might be. But yeah, I do actually think that. I think power and manipulation, and also just a sense of knowledge as well. Like, you go into these games maybe not knowing everything you can do, and every immersive sim I can think of right now, you get more powerful and you learn more about the world, and that mastery is sort of transferred through that kind of knowledge. Like, oh, now I have a power and that's explicit, or, oh, now I know that I can move boxes and prey with my strength attribute or whatever, or, oh, now I know I can blow things up in this way. It's like that kind of, the more you know, like it's a power fantasy in terms of wisdom as well as sort of like brute strength through the game mechanics.
I mean, you've been playing Outer Wilds, which is literally a game in which you never get a mechanical upgrade, but you get lots of new understandings of the world that can help you get to different places or understand how you, like, the upgrade tree in that game is literally just knowledge. Do you think that falls into the same space?
I do. It's also on my list in my notebook.
Oh, it's absolutely.
Is this also? It also has a really advanced physics engine.
No,
I will
it
say
does.
that.
But again, no combat, no stealth. There's stealth in that game. Actually, I take it back. There's stealth in that game.
Kinda.
No, there absolutely is. Tangled.
I have not finished. I've like 40 hours in, but I haven't finished it.
Okay.
So
have you gone to Tangled? Tangled Bramble yet? Is that what it's called?
Dark Bramble.
Dark Bramble. Dark Bramble.
Been there a few times.
There's stealth there. There's stuff you don't want to see you there. So
that's true.
That's stealth. Anyway,
that's a good.
You're almost 10 minutes in this definition discussion. I don't want to cut you guys off.
No, I think you're right. I think we don't have a definition, but we're not going to get to a definition.
But isn't that's also the messiness is inherent to it, right?
Well, I think there's the messiness that's inherent to it, but I think also it's going to become more complicated to define what immersive sim is, because in some ways I think this was the last decade of the immersive sim as we've known it.
Under the like System Shock Deus Ex template, which is essentially the lineage that we're talking about.
I think that's impossible to say. It was the same. I'm going to take the same approach I said back
and then,
when we
and then they'll
had
announce Bioshock 3 next year, which they're going to.
Well, like, and we know System Shock 3 is in development. Right. I don't have a lot of faith in that project, if I'm honest, because of some of the stuff that we've seen so far. But I think it's going to be quote unquote one of those. And I think a lot of these things are going to, as Hegel said. History, events repeat. First as tragedy, then as what he left out was first as tragedy, then as farce. I think we might get another run of the immersive sim like renaissance that we had. I think we've had a great decade of immersive sims.
And Prey sort of capped it off.
When I look forward and I look at what like the next Blendo Games joint is going to be a proc gen immersive sim game. I think we're going to continue to see people who like this style of game experiment with it. What I think the part that I'm sympathetic for here is like as we know it. Because I think we're going to continue to see blurring, we're going to continue to see overlapping, we're going to continue to see kind of like things shifting to and fro, and like the immersive sim element blending out into other genre, etc. But I also think we're just going to see more people make immersive sims. I do think Bioshock 3 is going to get announced in the next 3 years.
But what I mean by I think Bioshock is an exception to the rule in the sense that I think immersive sims will just become part of games, but it'll be less the template that we're used to.
That is, I think, what Rob is suggesting.
And that's what Rob is suggesting. A game like Bioshock won't be like that. It'll be more of the old template, but it's because the commercial viability of the old template has essentially died out. Prey being mostly a bomb, despite being an exceptional game, more or less suggests that like that version ran its commercial course. Doesn't mean elements won't go into other things. But I think like
same thing about adventure games. You said the same thing. Like I'm very wary of suggesting that a genre dies out because it hasn't been in the spotlight for a year or two.
I just mean
history is going to be long,
but it's going to be a break in that we were getting regular versions of these games for a long time, and it does feel like when someone like Arcane is even saying like, time to like...
Yeah, totally.
Maybe the ones that, whatever they do next, maybe it is a version of what we're talking about of like where do you take the DNA of the immersive sim or this version of it, and like where does it go from here? But yeah, you're also right that
just like
you give it 5 years and then it's like it's back.
It's just so easy to look back in time and be like, oh wow, there used to be so many immersive sims, Thief and Deus Ex and Ultima Underworld, and like some of those games. That's you're taking 30 years of history and remembering it as if it happened all at once.
Yeah.
There's
That's
always
fair.
been gaps.
That's fair. That's fair.
Anyway, I think we should talk about.
There's a big gap between System Shock 2 and BioShock, wasn't there? Like pretty.
Yeah.
Oh,
and that was
yeah,
kind of
absolutely.
its own lineage in certain ways. Like there was the Thief lineage into Dishonored.
Yeah, totally. But
and then
in
there's
between
the System Shock lineage into BioShock. So there was like a almost 8-year maybe gap between those two. So.
Again, but except that Thief 2, Deus Ex, Arx Fatalis all come out in that space, and then so do the Elder Scrolls, like Morrowind, which fits into this space for me in terms of like as a clear expansion on that stuff.
Particular line of the lineage, like the different little web of.
Oh, you mean the high immersive sim?
Ah, okay. Here we go. We're not doing this, but I think that I get why people who need to define things end up going down that route, because otherwise you lose your mind trying to figure out what is the one true thing. Can we talk about the ones that came out?
Let's take a break.
Oh, you're right. Let's take a break. When we come back,
We still got a minute and 50.
You can add that on. Pause it.
Pause it. That's our minute 50. Add that to the second half.
Damn, all right.
Yeah.
Where we're going to talk about.
Yeah,
Yeah, you got it. That's it. We'll be right back.
What the hell is that?
That's the whoosh.
That's the whoosh.
Whoosh.
And we're back. You heard a sound from Dishonored, which was one of. It's still playing, Cado. Still
Here it goes.
okay. What? I'm doing a lot of teleporting around. That's what it sounds like.
That's what you do in that game.
It's true. We should talk about the immersive sims of the 2010s, because there were a bunch of them. Like I think we did all have throughout the decade a moment of like, oh, is this it? Is this going to be the last one? And instead, we got like a bunch of really good ones, even by the most traditional of definitions, and also some that were kind of mediocre. Danielle, I turn to you as our immersive sim correspondent, our expert consultant. What's your favorite of the immersive sims this decade? I think I know, but I'd like to hear it from your lips.
I mean, you know what it is. I will just start with saying that 2010. We're starting with 2010, right? This is
Yes.
Okay. I will just point out that 2010 started with a very good immersive sim, and that was BioShock 2, which is the best of the BioShocks. Anyway, you know what my favorite one is, of course. You know that it's Prey.
Yeah, I thought so.
Because I never shut up about that game from the moment I started playing it, from the moment to we're still talking about it. I'm still talking about it. I genuinely think that Prey is the pinnacle of the genre as it stands right now. I think it has wonderful storytelling and interesting characters and a fascinating world. That's all like really great kind of window dressing that helps you get completely in the mindset of a really sort of hyper-powered person. I think the level design is incredible. I think it is multi-layered. There's a lot of verticality, and there's also so many things you can do in this game, and that's one of the things for me that kind of sets it apart from other immersive sims. I think a lot of immersive sims, the Deus Ex games, for example, you kind of have a few distinct paths through an area. You can do hacking, you can do stealth, you can shoot things, whatever. And that is simplifying things to a degree. But in Prey, you can do, 27 things for every one thing you could do in a different type of game. You can do the hacking, you can do the stealth, you can do the sort of other stuff, but you can also do platforming. You can create your own way around the entire world by just making glue gun globs and sort of climb those and go anywhere. You can use explosives to basically beat the entire game and open doors and go places you shouldn't be able to go to. And there are sort of non-traditional powers. They're the kind of alien powers. So it is a really, really true sandbox. And, we haven't sort of used that term for a while. Sandbox games used to mean like basically a GTA clone, right? It was just like, an open world game. But this felt to me like a genuine sandbox with interesting interactions, and all of them were pleasurable, right? They were really, really fun to actually find out these other weird things that you could do. And like experimenting in that game was wonderful. I know a lot of folks don't love the ending. I the ending, but I also probably was so overpowered that, that was a thing. But I also do point towards Moon Crash as the ultimate kind of expression of the immersive sim as sandbox, and that it doesn't strip away story. There's still story elements. This is very much still a story-based game, even in its sort of sandbox incarnation. But that was like, what if we change the variables on you 27 times? Deal with it. How are you going to deal with it? Which is great and fun and kind of the reason I love this genre.
I'm curious, do you think that game, and just for everybody at the table, was that game's commercial kind of like struggle the thing that made you start to think like, ooh, is there just not the audience for it anymore?
Well, also Dishonored 2 had not performed to their or my understanding is Dishonored 2 performed pretty similarly to Dishonored 1, but the problem was they were hoping to see a growth. It Trubisky'd. Though the tale is yet unwritten.
Well, if you want to say that, if you want to compare a Dishonored to Trubisky, Death of the Outsider was a wonderful conclusion to
which is probably
it ends Dishonored in a way that you feel complete and whole. And
this is why I wish I had a stronger personal definition, because like Death of the Outsider is my favorite traditional like immersive sim inside of what we think of first person stealth, like all of the kind of like secondary characteristics that tend towards immersive sim, again, stealth, optional combat, blah, blah, blah. Probably Death of the Outsider. Such a great experience. Very tight. Some really cool levels. I think Billy Lurk is a fantastic character. A great little like wrap up to one of the major plots inside of the overall Dishonored series.
It like ends up landing the mythology in a way that I never thought they would
100%.
Like I was like, this is all bullshit. Who cares? Like it's fun bullshit, but
it is, for me, Hitman is the one that is my personal favorite of the games that are in that kind of broader umbrella, because of the degree of systemic interaction, but also because of the ways in which the non-main story stuff starts to play around both in what it asks of you and then what it lets you build for other players, because there's like the contracts building stuff where you as a player can get into that world, think about it as a designer, and start to put together challenges for other players, which encourage them to start playing in different ways. It's also just like, in terms of one of the things we didn't talk about is like a defining feature of the immersive sim, but I think was very important, especially in the 90s when the genre is really
Can I read the
emerging.
Wikipedia definition for you?
Yeah.
An immersive simulation is a video game genre that emphasizes player choice. Its core, defining trait, this is like very declarative language, is the use of simulated systems that respond to a variety of player actions, which, combined with the comparatively broad array of player abilities, allow the game to support varied and creative solutions to problems as well as emergent gameplay beyond what has been explicitly designed by the developer. The definition is not to be confused with game systems which allow player choice in a confined sense, or systems which allow players to easily escape consequences of their choices.
No citation.
Immersive sims, by definition, allow for multiple approaches.
I
just laugh, maybe laugh.
Yeah, it's not. There's nothing there that's like hard wrong, but it's not.
I just like that by definition.
Yeah.
It says who?
Says your definition.
This is the last person who edited this Wikipedia page.
Danielle, did you edit
Tim
this?
Wikipedia says.
But the thing that we don't talk about a lot with immersive sims, but I think was very true in the 90s when these games started coming out, is they had a real sense of place and a sense of inhabitants. We talked the other day about, this episode's not out yet, but in the future episode this week, probably, maybe,
We're not sure of the timeline
we don't know yet, is that one of the things that, God, what was the game that we were talking about? It wasn't Shenmue. It was before Shenmue. It was Resident Evil 1. Resident Evil 2. No. Resident Evil 2 was a game that let you see a city, an American city in modern setting, which when that game came out was not a thing you just got to see a lot. So even in disrepair, it was like, whoa, this space feels like a real place to me. Like this, I could see the police station downtown. That
it's
exists.
Not a fantasy castle.
Exactly.
Or dragons.
And so one of the things that I think one of the things that Immersive Sims did specifically was like, there are people walking around the city streets. There are people in the bar in Deus Ex hanging out and like talking to me. There are people in the city streets of Thief who are going about their business. Now, going about their business was like literally walking a patrol route effectively, but over and over again. For the time, there was a sense of inhabitants of a place that had people in it. Hitman does that better than any other game in the abstract or in the like the zoom out sense, not in the like, hey, I can go read someone's personal email and learn that they're in a breakup right now, which Prey obviously and the kind of Dishonored Deus Ex stuff does so much better because that's the zoom in. But the like, whoa, I'm in Sapienza. People are going about their time in this kind of southern Italian villa and adjoining kind of little curvy city. It's fantastic, and like that is a huge part of it for me because then one of the systems that gets introduced is how do you deal with people? How do you deal with masses? How do you deal with a bunch of people at once? And how do you blend into that crowd? How does that crowd overwhelm you? How does that crowd react to whatever you do? For me, Hitman just ends up being such a source of joy, both in my playing it and in the watching of other people play it, which is the other big change from this decade, from past decades. When you think about the immersive sim, is Twitch exists. And I think that if there's going to be something that changes what immersive sims look like, Twitch existing is the actual bigger one. You go back and listen to someone like, we had a talk with Sean Vanneman 3 years ago at a PAX. And one of the reasons he pointed to, we were talking about immersive sims, we were talking about walking simulators, we were talking about what made games succeed and fail that we're trying to do.
The year they announced Firewatch, right?
No, it was after Firewatch came out, because the thing he said that he realized was a big part of Firewatch succeeding was you can pick up the radio and carry it around with you. You can throw it in the water.
Yep.
You can entertain an audience who is watching you play that game, a game that is fundamentally just about narrative, by doing stuff in the environment. And I don't know if he's right or not, but it's something he observed and something that he was in a position to care about observing. And I think when you think about something like Hitman and its success as a streaming game, you go watch the Giant Bomb streams of that, there's a performative element to it that is not in Prey so much unless you're already into Prey. Like I think Danielle, watching Prey, you watching a great Prey player, you're going to get a lot out of it. Even me watching a good Prey player or an interesting Prey player, I'm going to get a lot out of it. I played that game already. But like anyone in this room could go watch Vinny Caravella.
Yeah, I don't play Hitman.
Anybody could watch Vinny play anything and have a good time.
But I don't play Hitman, but I can watch Hitman and like go along for the ride.
And I think for me, if I have to make a prediction about the genre going forward, it is the performative aspect. Enabling players to be performers is going to continue to be tuned.
Yeah, maybe the answer is like Hitman adjacent. Part of what Hitman does is in that world.
Well, I think so. Prey and Mooncrash become an interesting case for me because I think where Prey undermines itself, as we've talked about, is there's multiple solutions to everything, but then gives you all the tools to execute all the solutions all the time. And eventually, like, if you're going to find really novel solutions to Prey, it's mostly because you're just going to be screwing around. You know what I mean? You are now playing suboptimally and going out of your way to like find these relationships. Mooncrash does something that I associate maybe a little bit more with what like is kind of the core to the experience of at least that first Hitman release, where they were parceling them out episodically, and you were sort of sucking all the marrow from the level, as you understood it. Mooncrash takes Prey and then keeps remixing these basic challenges, and it's like, okay, so you did this one last time, but you had a bunch of really good tools. Now we're going to take all those really direct, useful tools away from you, and we're going to give you indirect ones, and you're going to be weaker. Now can you solve the problem? And I think the performance aspect interacts in some ways with like Twitch creates the possibility for performance in the immersive sim, but I also think a really good immersive sim, even if you were playing alone, invites a sense of performance.
Yeah, you're totally right.
Prey was so open-ended in that initial release that eventually it could be kind of an isolated experience because the only person regarding Prey in some ways was you. But if you think about a Dishonored level, every Dishonored level has its thing, its bit, its experience, and there are your solutions to that problem. Mooncrash is a little more literal, where we're just going to slice up Prey and set you these like gameplay challenges and puzzles for you to solve. But all of those involve a measure of performance and like, sort of shooting your cuffs as you approach the table. And all right, how am I going to solve this problem?
I am. So wait, is Dishonored then your favorite immersive sim of the decade?
Dishonored 1, yeah.
Okay. Patrick, how about you?
Nice.
So we've now gotten our favorites from everyone here except for Cado and Patrick. I don't know, Cado. Is this a genre for you? Is this
kind of? Not really, though.
Yeah.
I mean, I've played most of those games, but except
Cado's
for Prey.
glad they're dead.
Wow.
No,
Cado killed them.
Ding dong. young.
How many copies of Prey did you buy?
Not
None.
enough. See?
Not enough.
You got no pull.
I played the demo many times.
Okay. That's actually the most immersive sim thing to do is to get a demo and play it 70
Deus,
times.
Yeah.
famously,
Liberty Island.
yeah, Liberty
Over
Island,
and over again.
and that was on the PC Gamer demo disc.
Yep.
And I played that. A
That is why
bajillion
that
times.
song is in my head still.
Yes.
But so are you scrolling a list, Patrick? I can
I was trying to see if there was anything that, like, it's probably Death of the Outsider.
Yeah.
It's weirdly not either of the Deus Ex revivals as much as I didn't really care for the second one at all. Yeah. And I liked the first one a lot in the moment, but I don't know that I look back on it all that. Like, it was a well-made one of those, but it felt similar to a like Halo 4, which is like, you made one of those. Like, you did it. It looks like one of those. It walks like it. It quacks like it. But it didn't. Like, Dishonored like thought through. Oh, what is this genre? And how do we do something different? Deus Ex, both of those were just took those and updated the technology, and that's reductionist. But like, that was my general impression of it. Like, kind of separated from it. So
Yeah.
and it's probably more specifically Death of the Outsider. Like, you could pick any of those, but like, I liked Death of the Outsider because it was so contained and short and tight. And I loved that character so much and the depth they gave to that character that was why it seemed like it was them acknowledging like, we really didn't give a whole lot to this character in the mainline series and found a way to funnel that into to a small, tight arc. And I always admire, and this is separate from the immersive sim part of it, but again, like I said, like, it landed its mythology, like its weird mythology, and like found a way to give that an emotional core and a landing that I admire that.
Yeah.
Because endings are hard.
Two series I'm surprised. One game I'm surprised didn't come up, and then one series that I wish had made this move. I wish the Far Cry games had leaned further in this direction. Coming up with Far Cry 2,
Yes.
you could emerge in a decade of Far Cry that, instead of being overwhelmed by Ubisoft open world bloat, is the best immersive sim.
Arguably, there's any direction but the one they went is the one I would have loved to see Far Cry go in.
The other game,
The fighting game community version of it. Yeah.
the Far Cry, the FCFGC, yeah. The game that I'm most surprised hasn't been mentioned by this table, because I know two of you are huge defenders. Alien Isolation.
I was gonna, yep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I guess I think of that as a.
I think
you're not wrong. Sorry, Danielle, go ahead.
No. Go ahead.
I think of it as immersive sim, but I think of it more of in a horror context, and so I almost don't even it never even came up in my head as like, oh, that's a possible answer because I think of that as a scary game.
But it's a system shock.
No, I agree, but I mean, I played that game to be terrified. I guess I was in a different mindset than I normally like. When I played Alien Isolation, I was not thinking like, who are all the different ways I can interact with the system. I was like, fuck this fucking alien, and like, I need to get out of this kitchen and around the corner.
Yeah.
It's mostly just a mindset thing, and how I played that game, because Isolation was way much less about sitting back and like studying the space, because the moment you did that, that alien was going to fuck you up.
Yeah.
So Danielle.
Yeah, similar to that, but also the power thing comes into that, right? So I think Alien Isolation is an immersive sim enemy, and it's almost like the alien has the powers that you would have as the player in an immersive sim.
Wow,
And the
that's
level
good.
itself, like the
That's-
level design also supports that.
Yeah, totally. That
But
makes
you
my
have very limited tools.
Yes,
like
Austin
sparks
just
my
tingled.
brain. Yeah, I totally did.
That felt
there.
good. That felt good. I thought I was like, ooh.
Ooh. Oh! And on that note,
What a profound thought
That's
to
a
end
great
on.
thought.
Like, you couldn't script that shit.
that's great. Last, I'm gonna break the rule. Fallout New Vegas. Fallout New Vegas. Fallout New Vegas. Bye.
When did that come out?
2010.
Oh shit!
Yeah,
If I-
Clockwork- that's
if
it.
I even
Clockwork Mansion was cool.
If I even thought that was an option, I would have just said Fallout New Vegas.
yeah.
Fuck.
Anyway, we're done. Thank you, Danielle, so much for joining us.
you
We
guys.
had to have you here to talk about Immersive Sims. Where can people find you on the internet?
You can totally find me at Danielle RI on Twitter, and also I'm gonna plug
Please.
Fanbyte.
Plug,
Please go to
plug.
fanbyte.com. Listen to our podcasts at Fanwith, and also we do have a movie podcast now. R.I.P. Be great to rewatch it,
R.I.P.
but it's finding a little bit of new life, a little
Rob,
bit of new
shove the microphone
Rob
away.
is so mad. Rob is so mad. He's putting his headphone up. He's gonna open a beer and we don't even have him in. He's taking his shirt off.
Danielle just
He's gonna
said,
put on his murder gloves.
rip to be good and rewatch it, but I'm different. What's the name? He's putting on gloves.
His murder gloves. Doesn't he look like Guillermo del Toro
Rob is
in Death
gonna murder
Stranding?
Yeah, a lot.
podcast.
A lot.
Oh,
What are
Jesus,
you-
he's actually
He's
putting
putting
on
on the gloves. Oh,
This
boy.
is really happening.
Danielle, run.
Am I in?
We're going to hold him back.
We were in a meeting this morning, and I looked over. I sat back down next to Rob, and I went, "Rob, are you gonna strangle me?" And he turns to me, acutely annoyed, and goes, "Why does everyone say that?"
Rob is back
Rob
on
was
mic.
the hitman all along.
Rob was the hitman all along. What is the name of the movie podcast?
So that Rob can
Very
twitch
sorry.
again.
It's called You Love to See It.
Rob's acting, putting on gloves, ready to kill someone. You love to see it. It's a
That's a good name
That's
for a
good name
podcast.
for a
Very
podcast.
good.
Names are hard.
Names
That's a
are
good
hard.
one.
Names are hard. We have a document. So,
Documenting our struggles.
yeah, 100%. Thank you again. Happy holidays to everyone. We'll be back soon with some more podcasts and more guests. So look forward
someone's
to
in the
that.
room.
Someone's in the room. We don't.
Oh, they're
who could it be? Aw.
Oh. Hello.
Oh!
That's it, yeah. All right, everybody. All right.
Thank you,
We'll
Danielle.
see you tomorrow.
That was a
with
lot
more.
of fun.
Thank you, Danielle. Have a great one. Hi.
Hi.
Hello.
Hi, Natalie.
She said hi, Natalie.
Hi.
Natalie can't hear you. 'cause I
Hi,
have
it's so
no
good to see
headphones.
you.
She says hi. It's so good to see you.
Thank you. It's great to see you too.
It's great to see you too. She says.
Aw.
Aw.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for the play-by-play.
She says thank you for the play-by-play. That was from me though, probably.
That was for you.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, that was yeah.
Cozy.
Yeah. Oh my God. This room has never had so many people in it.
Y'all look a little
It's
little warm in there.
It's a lot right now, Danielle.
Sorry.
Yesterday was the worst. I'm so glad I wore a short sleeve shirt today. This was
Yeah.
the right call.
Soon the pizza sweats are going to come out.
Oh,
little Under Armour in there, you know.
yeah.
This is why we have the beer, right?
That's why. Cool us down.
Been keeping it chill.
Yeah,
chilling
wait,
by
why
that
did we not
PC.
go put it in the fridge?
I'll go put it in the fridge
put
right
it
now.
in the
Put it in the
fridge.
fridge.
You guys can start talking.
Is it just gonna get stolen?
I'm going to
It's
hide
not going
it.
to get stolen in the next hour.
Yeah.
No.
20 minutes.
Put a note on it.
Looking for beer to
you have a
steal
note?
at one point in
That's because we
time.
sent you
Put
to
it
do
in
that.
this
You
tote
were
bag
good.
into the fridge. No one will steal it then.
Wait, do we have another? Isn't there another?
Yeah, right?
I've got both.
Oh, you got it both. Okay.
All right, you guys.
Just put a little bit of like something green or yellow
Yes.
on it, kind of dripping. Nobody will
No
want
one
it,
will
but you
touch
know
it.
it's innocuous.
Yeah.
You know.
We just keep a banana slug for this very purpose.
That's why.
Exactly.
Keep it
Just
marked.
for that purpose.
God.
Are we ready
know?
to come back?
Are we coming back without Patrick? Did he say that?
That's what he said.
Okay, sure.
All right.
Cado just needs a second.
All right.
Good. Recording.
No, now you're good?
Yes.
Okay. Danielle, are you recording?
I sure am, and the waveforms look pretty good.
Awesome. We are just going to do so. Just to
We
go
do
to
need
the
a clap
heads
at
up,
this time.
We do need a clap. We definitely have to do a clap if you
Yes.
want to go to time that is. But also, just as like a heads up, it's going to be a short one. It's like an intro and then
Okay.
30 minutes of
Yep.
conversation. We're trying
Timed.
to.
We have like
We
a.
literally have a timer set up.
What's the sound? What's the sound
What's the
effect going to
sound
be for
gonna
this
be?
one? Can you get?
What's the best immersive sim sound?
Oh.
Is there
What
like
about like the intro music to Deus Ex?
Yeah.
Fucking the Deus Ex
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
just
Good
like the
intro.
attract like the
Deus Ex, original Deus Ex?
Yeah, the original.
Oh, what about like the sound when you whoosh?
When you
Yeah, the
whoosh.
Whoosh?
That's
Oh,
good
the-
too.
warping. The,
Yeah. Do we have?
I'll see if I can find a Dishonored soundboard.
Please try
It
to
might
find
be
a
called
Dishonored.
Blink,
Yes.
Blink. Yes. Yes.
maybe.
So yeah, we're just going to do kind of a broad conversation around what our favorite immersive sims are. Rob, you said you kind of wanted to hit like what does an immersive sim mean in
Well, 'cause
2019?
yeah,
It's loud.
I brought
Sorry.
notes.
Are you just looking at a Dishonored?
oh, perfect.
Does it make the noise?
I think that might have been
That
the
was it,
noise.
Yeah.
Whoosh.
Okay, but also, Cado, I'm gonna put
Yeah,
this.
but-
I'm gonna put this in podcast.
I
I just want to hear it. I just want to
you just
hear
want
it.
to. You just been yeah.
Yeah, I just want to hear this shit.
You're craving that good.
Oh, the
Good, Deus Ex.
the main music Deus Ex is phenomenal.
Yeah, it's good. It is very good.
It is such a jam.
Is that Sheldon Picardi?
I thought it was that. We got
the
like,
holiday remix?
music.
A Christmas
Danielle.
Prince.
Yeah, I was like, do. I was like, that's not my Deus Ex.
I would listen to that holiday remix.
That'd
though.
be good. Someone
Christmas
should do
X,
that. Christmas, yeah, Putting the X back.
Christmas X is a different thing.
Deus-
12 days of
It used
Christmas.
to be Deus Christmas, but now we just call it Deus Xmas.
Yeah.
Or Deus Xmas episode.
You gotta wait for it to start.
That.
Wait for the drop.
Wait for the drop. Those drums. Those drums hit. It's good. There it is. There,
So
it's good. It's good. It's good. It's good.
Come on!
It's good. God. Deus Ex. When was that from?
This
a year?
would be
2011.
this. Danielle, if you ever become a wrestler, this is what you come out to.
Oh, that'd be good. A
Can you
cyberpunk.
put it in the chat?
Yeah.
I'll do it.
Here's.
Oh, right. Different chat, right.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, sorry.
we should've-
I'm
we
a-
No, no, that's our
You
that's
should
our
have put
fault.
it in the
That's
alumni
our
chat.
fault.
Yeah.
That's okay.
All right, ready to? You pumped up?
We got to
ready?
clap.
Yeah, we gotta
can't forget
clap.
how
we
have
have
to
to
clap.
clap. Thank you.
Yep.
You ready to clap at 23 seconds?
Yeah.
All right.
Okay, wait.
It did a skip too.
Can you
but
start-
I
can you-
think I
Thank you.
hit it.
Thank
Can you
you.
start this podcast with us waiting for the drop?
Yeah, sure.
Again? Or
Yeah, no,
okay.
yeah, I want to hear that. That be the start of the podcast.
Okay.
Okay. Danielle, do you have it pulled up? We should sync this.
Oh, yeah.
So you
Let's-
have an
let's-
idea.
Oh yeah, I have
idea
it pulled
of
up.
where we are.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
Ready?
3, 2, 1, click.
Yeah. 3, 2, 1, click.
Okay.
3, 2, 1, click.